Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're going to give everybody just a minute to get in, get settled, let anyone who's just joining pop in before we kick everything off. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Wednesday so far and wonderful week. Okay. All right. Woohoo, getting settled. Okay. Um, So, welcome everyone. We are recording. If anybody does have to drop off suddenly, we will share this recording and all the great info and details afterwards. But thank you for joining us today for East Africa Decoded. We are so excited that two of our By Iris clients are here with us today to present about four wonderful countries in East Africa. So we are welcoming today Anna Grodzki with Matoke Tours Africa and Seema Shah with Tanzania Journeys. So these two ladies are the star of the show today. They're each going to take some time to present and share about their DMC, countries that they operate in, and then we're going to open it up at the end for a live Q&A. If you do have questions in the meantime, drop them in the chat. We'll keep an eye on those and we will get to them at the end. And just a little tease, but at the end of the two presentations, we also have some exciting news we're going to share. So stay tuned. If you do miss it, no worries. We will share all the juicy news with everyone afterwards. But without further ado, I will pass it over to Anna to kick things off.
Thank you so much, Steph. Let me just try to set myself up here for you guys to see my presentation, and then I'll get started. Are we all good?
Anna, it's
Can
on your
you...
presenter view.
Oh, that is maybe not so good. Unless if you
No,
want to.
unless you want
You
to
know
see
what?
all her notes.
Not necessarily. Let's just right now. Better?
Perfect. That is
All right.
perfect.
Okay, let's get started then. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We know your time is very valuable, so we'll try to keep it short and relevant and sweet. And anything that you still want to know from us afterwards that inspired you or caught your attention, we'll be very happy to set up a call with you or be in touch on email. So just feel free to let us know. Let's get started. Just very briefly about me. My name is Anna. I've been in Uganda for 15 years now. I usually like to share a little origin story, how I thought I was coming to Uganda just for 6 months, but I just had like the most amazing experience about just feeling so welcomed, so genuinely welcomed. I felt so much like warmth from people, and it was just a very fascinating country for me where I just easily felt at home. And it's something that I hear now from many of our travelers as well, that there's just like some special sense of connection to people, to everyday life, to nature. And I feel it's increasingly something that we all crave. So ever since I've been here for 15 years, and now it brings me so much joy to still be able to do this every day and just enable other people to also experience Uganda and Rwanda. So just as a brief intro about me. And Matoke Tours is a company that has been here for almost 25 years now. I'm in my 15th year with Matoke as well. I'm the MD here in Kampala and one of the co-owners as well. And it's a company that has not only a great reputation, but a great company DNA, I want to say, which is so grounded in place and so tied to the region that I'm just like very, very proud that this is what we were able to develop together with our amazing team in Kampala and elsewhere, and our great guides and partners on ground as well. So in this entire time that we have been operational in the region, we've had around 15,000 clients. So you can imagine not many things can shock us anymore when it comes to operations. But it also means that we have had so much opportunity to, just be contributing to how tourism is developing and just seeing it grow and thrive, which has been a really wonderful experience. And we are particularly proud on our collaborations with others in the industry. We are part of Adventure Tourism Uganda, where we have been able to develop adventure tourism more, so cultural encounters, active tourism, how to explore the destination, maybe outside of the car and outside of national parks as well. And our other initiative is the female tour guide training, which really enabled us to get into women-only tours and offer something with substance, something that, lets us create opportunities for people here. So as a way to give back and also create synergies. So, so much for us in a nutshell. There's way more I can say, but obviously we have a time limit here, so I'm being mindful of that. So today's topic is decoding East Africa. So we are going to have a look at each destination and their unique selling points, but also how they can be combined into one product, how they can be combined depending on how much time our clients have, and what the best things are to do, how product can complement each other, and how we can set up logistics. So Seema, who's here, is going to take you through Kenya and Tanzania right after me, but I'm going to kick off with Uganda and Rwanda. Here on this map, you can already see Rwanda is a much, much smaller country than Uganda. Together, they offer quite a great complementary product to the more typical safari and great safari product that we have in other countries in East Africa. But also, they have moved in the last couple of years, especially Rwanda, from being an extension and a gorilla and primate focused destination to also a standalone destination that offers a wide variety of products. In Uganda, this is particularly easy just because it's a bigger country and it has more diversity to work with. But if we want to look at the destinations on their own, Rwanda, of course, can't do it justice in one slide. There's a lot more that a destination has to offer. But if we had to give it a headline, it would be it's a perfect quick gorilla extension. It's just like seamless execution. It's much shorter drives. The destinations within Rwanda are much closer together. So especially for someone who's short on time or has particularly just a focus on gorillas or primates in general, this would be a great addition to another itinerary because within 3 days from fly into Kigali, doing the gorilla trekking and fly out, it would be possible to basically take it off your bucket list if this is what you're looking for. If you have just 1 day longer, 2 days longer, there's more that we can add. Uganda, in comparison to this, like I already mentioned, much bigger. So obviously we have more to work with, more national parks, more variety in terms of landscapes, in terms of cultural encounters that are possible. So you can, even with a relatively short itinerary, already create a very rounded, very diverse product. And if you have more time, we have some partners who offer group tours or FITs that are 18 or 21 days long, then we'll definitely also find enough things to do for you because of the variety that is offered. Just to say, in terms of combinations, Uganda and Rwanda together are also a very compelling combination of destinations. Although they both offer gorilla, chimp, and safari, they both feel quite different. And for us, it's around 25 to 30% even of our travelers who choose to combine those two countries. So either they want to experience the gorilla trekking in either country and compare it, or just have like a more extensive gorilla experience, or they just look at it more like one destination and they want to see how it feels across the border. But yeah, that's definitely something that is already a great combination in itself. Then I want to mention something about the timing of selling Uganda and Rwanda. We usually like to say that now we really feel the region has reached that sweet spot, especially Uganda. The sweet spot of having more accessibility, having more properties, more diversity of product, and more quality of product as well, while still remaining, I wouldn't say under the radar, but like still remaining more exclusive with smaller tourist numbers. So you can find yourself in a national park on a game drive and you are the only car, or there's only one other car that you'll meet on the way, which is absolutely not the case. By default in other destinations. So that's a very, very strong selling point for the region right now. So in terms of accessibility, we have more domestic flight options now, more charter options, helicopter charters, which has already been ongoing in Rwanda for a while, but is a new development in Uganda. So with less time, we can already create a great itinerary in Uganda and Rwanda. The second point are new properties that are coming along. So in particular, I would say in the last 3 years, we have seen so many new high-end properties in particular coming in. For Rwanda, this is the case. They had already the strategy of targeting more the high-end traveler, which they really do very, very well. And they are still adding another level of amping up the level of luxury that they offer in their accommodations with some new properties. And in Uganda, it means mainly that there are more high-end properties available. So here, just two examples, just two renders that you can see. The one on the left is Ereboro Hills in Bwindi, where you do the gorilla trekking. I'm very excited personally about this project because it's just like an amazing architecture firm who's doing it. Like it's all bamboo, which is common in other parts of the world, but not very common here as a building material for lodges. Very purpose-built, all materials locally sourced. So very excited to see this in real life. They are already taking bookings and starting in August 26. So yeah, we basically can start making bookings there. And on the right, you see a rendering of Kula Ora, which is also a high-end lodge in the southern sector of Murchison Falls National Park. So basically a much less visited sector of the park, a low impact zone, which is going to be just way more accessible for high-end travelers right now. And then lastly, I would want to say this is probably the most important point in the bigger picture as well, the quality of wildlife experiences and the conservation efforts and the success of them. So first to mention the gorillas, of course, we have gone from 250 gorillas that were left in the world in the 1970s to over 1,000 now, 500 of which are in Bwindi in Uganda. Still a very small number, but still also I want to mention it as a success. The status went from critically endangered to endangered right now, and tourism just had a very big influence on this as well. So, where people are looking for a meaningful experience and to feel that they made a difference, this is kind of by default built in by tracking the gorillas because you see how important it is to conserve the habitat. And then in other most recent news, actually, generally on restoring habitats as well. I want to mention the rhinos. Rwanda again was in the forefront of this from 2017. They have relocated rhinos to Akagera National Park, really changing the experience you can have there. And then in Uganda, just 2 weeks ago, we had a big relocation of rhinos from a sanctuary, which was the only place where you could view them before, to Kidepo Valley National Park in the north of Uganda, making it a big five national park now. So very, very exciting for everyone involved. A big process featured on the news. Yeah, and something we love to see. So the timing of things are happening concurrently, accessibility, properties, conservation, and we have seen continuous growth year on year, but we just feel that it's accelerating right now. So some sense of urgency here, maybe. We know like in 5 years, the landscape will look quite different in terms of tourist numbers. Now is still the sweet spot to really offer a more exclusive feel experience in either destination. And if that has inspired you a little bit, I hope, I'm going to dive into an example itinerary for Uganda. This is built a little bit around the farm trip that we had last October. I see we have Beth here in our webinar who has participated, and Iris, of course, was also part of it, which was really great. So just to give you an example on how we would set up like a simple product in Uganda. The shortest we would usually recommend would be an 8-day itinerary. Then you could hit 3 different national parks. I'll show you what the things are that you could put in there. If you had less time, it would be 6 days. We would leave out the Northern National Park and do only Queen Elizabeth and Bwindi. That would still enable travelers to do the gorillas, to see the chimps, and to have a safari experience. So 6 days, you might find it easier to combine it with a longer Kenya or Tanzania extension than the 8 days. But I'll take you through this quickly just for some visuals. So a classic start of our Uganda journey would be Murchison Falls National Park, which is the biggest national park we have. So this is where we're looking at your game drives in the morning, in the evening, at boat safari on the River Nile, the very dramatic Murchison Falls themselves, as you can see here, kind of a classic safari experience that you can have in Uganda, and probably the best wildlife sightings that we have. Just to take you through a few visuals. This is the safari experience. The third picture actually is our farm trip as well, if I might reference it again. Um, Depending on your client's wishes, we can, now we have a range of accommodation options that we can choose. So it could be a more family-friendly option, it could be a more accessible option closer to the Nile Delta, or where we chose to stay was the southern sector, a low-impact zone where we were literally the only ones in the entire sector and the only ones in the park on all our activities. Here for some accommodation options, Night Safari Lodge. This is the family cottage that I just mentioned. Also beautiful architecture and design when you look at the interior, which you probably can't see here. Papa's camp, which is a relatively simple tented camp, but is going to be replaced with Kula Ora, which I just mentioned in the same location. This is the rendering of this. This is the southern zone where you won't expect to see anyone else during your game drives. And after Murchison Falls, the next logical step would be to take you to Queen Elizabeth National Park. So the landscape really significantly changes. We are now looking at more the green savanna plains, crater lakes, the salt lakes that you see in the right picture, the mountains of the moon, that's the Rwenzori Mountains that you see in the background, and the very, very lush and very special Chambura Gorge that you see in the first picture. So literally this jungle emerging from the gorge in the savanna plains. This is also a habitat for chimps, so a great place to experience the chimpanzee trekking. The hike is easier and shorter than the gorilla trekking, so also important in case your clients are not able to do a very difficult hike. Very different energy as well than the gorilla trekking. The chimps are very active. They are very, almost hyper, I would want to say. It feels like a lot is happening around you because you're in a big group. They are very loud, they communicate a lot. So it's a very adrenaline-based experience, I would almost say. And comparing it to the game drives that we did, for example, in Murchison or that we would do here, it's also a nice way to be a little bit active, go on a nature walk, experience something while not being in the car. Just some more visuals from Queen. This is our Dhow, Sundowner, and Queen Elizabeth. There's some elephant sightings on Kazinga Channel still in Queen. Sundowner, leopards and lions. This must all look very familiar to you. And then some impressions from Chambura Gorge. So we hiked down to the forest and then tracked the chimpanzees there, which was, I really enjoyed the experience. These are just some accommodation impressions. River Station is a very nice accommodation where we stayed during the farm. Chambura Gorge Lodge, we particularly booked this for clients with an interest in conservation. Queen Elizabeth National Park has a lot of, well, we historically had a lot of human-wildlife conflict, so there are many initiatives that can be visited also for behind-the-scenes experiences. So definitely something that could be booked for your clients as well. And then coming to the emotional heart of the journey for many, I would want to say, is of course the gorilla trekking in windy, impenetrable forest. Obviously, the gorillas will still always remain, I think, one of the main reasons for people to choose Uganda or Rwanda. So there cannot be said enough like about how important this is in the itinerary, how big the anticipation is for people as well. Usually it goes from the process on deciding on the destination to booking a year in advance or so, and then having the entire trip, since we are leaving this for the end of the trip, of anticipation on how this is going to go. It's quite interesting to see that because usually we are so in control of how an experience is done. And this is also very managed, obviously, because of conservation rules. Only 8 people can visit the gorillas at a time. Only 1 hour can be spent with them during the day. But still, there are so many unknown factors. How long is the hike going to be? We are following trackers who went an hour ahead and just waiting to hear from them on the walkie-talkie. Like, are they close? Are they far? How long are we going to go? Which is really like a little bit of a different experience at what we are used to. But I feel that's also what makes the emotional payoff really, really huge at the end. And there's just not much that is comparable to this because we are so close to those big animals just in the natural habitat. It just feels very, very special to be able to experience that and to be this accepted by them as well as human visitors. So yeah, I think it doesn't matter how many times you have experienced it, it will always be a special experience. So just to take you through some visuals, this is a little guy here. This was our track as well. There is a video, but I don't think. Should I try to play it? Is that working? Mm. This was during our farm trip as well. It was our first moment when we encountered them. We followed them along for an hour, but this was kind of after the hike, the first time that we approached the group of gorillas. This is obviously not a professional video, but a user-generated one to show you the real story. Usually you should keep 7 meters distance to the gorillas, but often they choose to come closer to you, which is not against the rules. And yeah, it's just a wild experience. Now we were lucky to see a little baby, a little youngling, just go the way. And this is how we followed them for another hour to be able to experience how they move and interact. Then another one. Some steps time, guys can keep it down. Good. Okay, this is it for the gorilla trekking. Oops. And now to just show you like some accommodation options, Gorilla Forest Lodge was in existence for I think maybe around 10 years and was taken over by A&K recently and completely refurbished. Very nice place to stay. And Ereboro Hills, I already mentioned. This is again a rendering, so we are waiting for the real pictures and waiting to go and see it in real life as well. And this is where you could end your Uganda journey if you wanted. This is another side of the Bwindi forest, just like 30 minutes out. You have Lake Mutanda with beautiful volcano views, a wonderful volcanic lake you can swim in, just to show you again the diversity of the landscapes. But just to say, here you could end your Uganda journey in your 6 or 8 day itinerary and combine it with something else that you would like. You could drive out to Rwanda, which would be maybe around a 4 hour drive if you're in the south of Bwindi. You could take a domestic flight back to Entebbe to connect internationally to another destination. Yeah, those would be basically your two options. Or we would continue via Lake Mburo to have another 2 day element to drive back to Entebbe and fly out from there. Then just to also mention, mid-range options are plenty in Uganda. So if your clients have a smaller budget to work with, they can still have a wonderful experience. Often the impression is there that a safari trip to Africa has to cost a lot, but we have amazing accommodation options, which are maybe 30% of the prices of the high-end accommodation. So that's something that's good to keep in mind. And lastly, just wanted to have a brief mention of our traveling sisterhood safari because I know the interest is always high in this. So this is a join-in trip, which we have just also opened up for bookings from travel agents. If you just have one, maybe female client or a group of them who would like to travel with others, because it's yeah, it's just like more cheaper. It's nicer for connection with other people and experience things together. Then we'd be happy to share more with you about it. Then briefly coming to Rwanda, which is going to be just a short overview, being mindful of the time. Here we would look at, we already said, kind of like the short itineraries, perfect for combining with other destinations, could be Uganda, Kenya, or Tanzania. Usually, of course, you would arrive in Kigali. If you had 6 days available, we would send you to Volcanoes National Park for gorilla trekking, golden monkey trekking if you wanted. We have amazing high-end lodges available here. Rwanda also really makes an effort to bring forward the conservation story. So there are many behind the scenes options available to learn more about gorillas and the conservation efforts, which is done in a really nice way. So highly recommended. If someone wanted a safari element, we would add Akagera National Park to this as well, which is just another 2 hour drive away. And you could fly out from Kigali on day 6. This is quite flexible. This could be shortened to 5 days as well. It could be shortened to 4 days, depending on the flight times. Or if someone didn't want another safari element, but really focus on primates, we could do volcanoes and then add Nyungwe Forest, more in the south of Rwanda to have another chimp experience there. So this would kind of make it like a well-rounded, relatively short experience with seamless logistics. Just some impressions here. Whatever I said about the gorilla trekking in Uganda applies to Rwanda as well. The only difference is the permit price, which is 1,500 in Rwanda versus 800 in Uganda and 600 in low season, so quite a big difference. The campus, which gives a lot of like background info on conservation, very much worth a visit. This is like the next level of luxury accommodations that Rwanda has opened recently. So Bisata Reserve, as well as Singita Kataza House, Akagera National Park, just mentioned this already. Magashi Peninsula is also another next level accommodation to Magashi Camp, which has been in existence, and Nyungwe National Park with some impressions. So this would bring me to the end of the presentation. Also here, mid-range options are available, though it's much more difficult to put together a mid-range itinerary in Rwanda, but it is possible for FITs and for groups, especially, we can advise you which accommodations to look at to still have a good experience for your clients, should you be interested in mid-range options as well. And just to end with this to say, we want to support you every step of the way. If Uganda and Rwanda are new destinations for you, or if you are looking at diversifying your product, maybe you're looking at what your competition is offering, how to offer something else, we'd be very happy to advise you on this and custom make something for you. And if you take one thing away from today, we just want to say Uganda, Rwanda really have all the magic that someone would want from an East African trip. And even better if it can be combined with other destinations for more time. But we really hope like to be in touch with you and help you set up Uganda and Rwanda for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was so wonderful. And there's such dreamy destinations and accommodations. Definitely high on the list.
Mhm.
So thank you again. We'll be sharing Anna and the team's contact information. So if you have any questions directly for her that we don't get to in the Q&A at the end, we will still connect you. Okay, up next is Seema. So we're going to hand it over to you, Seema, to take us through Tanzania journeys and, of course, Tanzania and Kenya. And heads up, Seema, you're on mute in case you didn't realize. I think she's looking for her unmute button. There you go.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm just trying to get my screen sharing on. Why
We
have I lost my screen sharing now?
we can
I'm
see
gonna try
your reset
give
it
me a
all.
second. Okay.
Perfect.
Hi. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for making the time to be here today. And as Anna said, this is about decoding East Africa. I'm completely in awe of everything she talked about, and it makes me realize how varied East Africa is actually, because what they have in Uganda and Rwanda is quite different from what we have in Kenya and Tanzania. I'm actually here with my colleague Roslyn, who you will see, who's on here as well, and she will be presenting about Kenya, but I'll kickstart it with Tanzania. So just a little bit about ourselves. We've been going for 20 years, so we feel quite grounded and well established. And though we started off focusing on Tanzania, we quickly also realized that the countries work well together for travel. So we also moved on to having a focus on doing trips in Kenya as well. We've also had like 10 years of working in the North American market. So we feel that right from when we're setting itineraries till when travelers are here and we're delivering the whole trip, we have got to understand the market and what's required for it. So that's something plus that we feel quite happy about at Tanzania Journeys. One of the other things that we focus on is adventure travel and luxury travel. And what we try to do is blend this into our wildlife experiences. We like to be able to uh, build in experiences in off the beaten paths as much as we can. And we try to put in cultural or active conservation opportunities, and building activities. So having more time away from the car as much as possible. We can't do gorilla trekking the same way as in Uganda or Rwanda, but there are many ways where you can have 2 to 3 days of hiking in very, very remote areas to going into villages and having like a trek where you're really interacting with village life as you go along. One of the things I just wanted to mention that we have a serious passion for is curating itineraries. So as you will discover along our presentation, um, there's a lot you can do between both the countries. And one of the things we love doing is being able to really listen to the needs you have or your clients have and seeing how we can make it work. Sometimes logistics can be complicated, but we're always up for taking it on and finding a solution to it all. And also, we have an expansive knowledge on the variety and range of accommodation in both locations, meaning that we can really be flexible in how we curate itineraries. One of the other things I want to say is we try to keep it fresh, so we're always on the lookout for new experiences that we can add onto trips. So you may be, don't be surprised if you book one trip and then soon after we're coming up with new ideas that have just started developing as such. Um, I'll also say we're good value for money for the kind of luxury and high level of service we offer. Our prices can be quite reasonable in comparison. And finally, our motto is let's make it happen. So again, one of the things I wanted to say that's really special about Tanzania Journeys, I would say, is that you could come with an idea and we'll just figure out how to make it happen for sure. It could be just trying to make the logistics work in a very different way, but we're all up for researching and figuring out how it happens. Let's get on. So we just talking about Kenya and Tanzania. One of the things I wanted to mention is that safari in Kenya and Tanzania is really shaped by very ancient geological plate movements and volcanic activities in both countries. And that really essentially has shaped the spaces in which you go on safari, giving very unique and dramatic landscapes and flora and fauna as well. Yeah. So that's something that's very unique about Kenya and Tanzania. One of the other things is that you can combine safari with trekking, beach, so it can all be done in one destination or between both of them as well. And of course, as you all must know about the legendary migration within the Serengeti Masai Mara ecosystem, this is a shared space between Kenya and Tanzania, and we often try to maximize that in our itineraries, especially if they are a combined two-destination trip. In both countries, there is a strong opportunities for cultural immersion. For example, the whole areas where there are national parks and conservation areas where we do have the safaris. There is a strong presence of Maasai culture because these were traditionally all their lands, and there's quite a lot of immersive opportunities to be involved in finding out about their culture as well. There is great regional connectivity with both countries as well, with smooth road and flight routes. So you can cross the borders at 2 points, the Namanga and Isbania. There are domestic flights these days, which are creating better connectivity between Kenya and Tanzania. And there are also some regional flights that will take you out of these countries as well to, for example, Rwanda or Kenya. Some of these I've mentioned on this sheet. So let's start with Tanzania. I wanted to point out some highlights of the country. It's a huge country. As you can see, it's 365,000 square miles in space. And like you can see, there's quite large reserves. I mean, if you can see at the south, you've got Selous Game Reserve, which now is called Nyerere National Park, but it's massive. It's massive. So is Serengeti. And so are Kilimanjaro, Ruaha National Park. So the spaces are huge where you can go on safari. Mostly in Tanzania, they are national parks. So each one has its distinct landscape and character, but they are areas where there is conservation, there are no people living there. So it gives you quite a different flavor. I mean, it is very much about wildlife watching. That would be a focus that we'd have. We also have the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, which is the only place where there are people living, mostly Maasai, and there is a kind of balance going on how the Maasai can live, and while there are wildlife there as well. The other thing I'd like to point out, going back to the map, is that we have almost three distinct, I'd say, safari circuits. So in the north, you have the northern safari circuit, which includes Kilimanjaro. It includes, it includes Ngorongoro, Tarangire, Manyara, and Serengeti. Then so that's one circuit, and you can just do a 10-day trip focused on that on its own. Equally, we have the Southern Circuit, which has what used to be called Selous Game Reserve, but it's now called Nyerere National Park. It has that, Ruaha National Park, and there's also Mikumi. On the western side, near Lake Tanganyika, you have Katavi, you have Mahale, and you also have Ruaha as well. And you have the Gombe Stream. So that's also another area. So as you can see, they're quite distinct areas. And I would say that it is possible to combine them in one trip, though the reality is that the logistics are quite complicated. So if a traveler does not have enough time, then it's better to keep them all separate. And also because the flights and logistics are quite complicated, it can get quite expensive. So this works good. It works to combine them when, let's say, a client has the budget for it. Yeah. But what also happens for Tanzania is that generally speaking, people veer towards the northern circuit, which is the more well-known one. But Tanzania is also a good destination for repeat travel, because once somebody's done that and they've got the bug, they probably want to come and explore other parts. So you could almost do all three circuits as three separate trips. Moving on, what also wanted to say, we have a sizable coastline on the Indian Ocean, and there are varied experiences of a beach experience, from something as iconic as Zanzibar to, let's say, Pemba, which is another island off the main Zanzibar island, which is a complete barefoot beach experience, to places further down south on the coast where there are historical ruins like Kilwa, or to the Mafia Island, which is just off the coast of Dar es Salaam. I'll just show you. I think it's here. Hold on. Yeah, it's off the coast of Dar es Salaam, which is known for a season of whale shark watching as well. It's a very rustic affair. There are lodges, very good lodges on there, but it's a small, very non-touristy destination. But the whale sharks are awesome. So it's a great place to experience that. Some of the national parks do allow for certain activities. So some of the smaller ones, let's go back, like Lake Manyara and Tarangire, you can do night game drives. You can also do walking safaris with armed rangers. And there are some places which have lakes, like Arusha National Park, where you can do a canoeing safari. So there's different ways to also experience safari without being in the safari vehicle all the time. And this is a growing thing where our National Park Association is looking at new ways of getting people out of cars and having more close-up experiences with wildlife. So I also wanted to say that because Tanzania is huge as well, there is definitely more opportunities of going to off the beaten paths and remote traveling opportunities. And I've listed a few here. I'm just very conscious of time, so I don't want to go into too much detail. But Mahale and Gombe are very, very off the beaten track. Nkomazi also is very special and one that a lot of people leave out. So you're hardly going to find anyone in the park. There are off the beaten spot track spaces like Kondoa art rock paintings in the center of Tanzania, which are amazing historical paintings, rock paintings that hardly anyone goes to see, but you could just spend a couple of days around them. There is also very interactive and authentic cultural opportunities with Maasai communities where you just get to see how a community is going through transition of keeping its traditions going while also kind of dealing with the modern world. And this is where you just see the reality of how people live and deal with their traditions. So these are kind of rare exposures sometimes, yeah. And there is also another thing that's happening in Tanzania where there is a growing number of wildlife management areas. These are not national parks. There are areas where the government is trying to bring in more wildlife. But again, this is places where people live. And so there's a kind of like balance going on. But part of what happens is that there's tourist establishments that get set up in these areas, which basically support the community. They will benefit from it, so that there is an interest in wanting to um, conserve wildlife as well. So that's another thing that's going on in Tanzania. And finally, there is Tanzania has up to 120 120 different tribes or cultural groups going on all over the country. And so there are lots of culturally immersive activities that can be done, some of which I've listed here, from work, being with Maasai, going herding, fire making, spear throwing, or being on the mountain with the Chagas who grow on the lower slopes, who grow plants, banana and coffee on the lower slopes of Kilimanjaro. You can also go and see the Hadzabe Bushmen and go hunting with them. So these are the kind of wide variety of culture. If culture interests you to add into your itineraries, then this is what we would also suggest. This, I hope that when the slides gets shared, you will just get a sense. So these are all some of the places you would see on the Northern Circuit. As you can see, there's quite a few. And you can do this all in the space of a 7 to 10 day itinerary. You can add in Arusha National Park, Tarangire, Ngorongoro. I think there's Serengeti as well. So, depending on the itinerary, you can go up to 10 days seeing just these spaces. Equally, you've got these Nyerere, Ruhaha, and Mikumi in the Southern Circuit. And as you can see, some of the unique offerings they offer is boat safaris, night game drives, walking safaris. So there's quite a wide variety of opportunities of how you do your safari. And finally, on the Western Safari, because you can do chimp trekking, different from gorilla trekking, I know, but also very exciting. It is also
Oh no. Looks like we lost Seema to Blair Witch Project. Okay. Rosalind, it might be your time to jump in if we can't get Seema back. And 1 second, just getting a update, I think, from Seema. Okay. I,
Okay, let me share my screen.
Perfect. What's a webinar without a little technical glitch, right? Not a webinar, I think. I think that's the answer.
Oh. Okay. Share. Can you see my screen?
We're seeing, oh, there. I think that's better. We're seeing,
I
think just hit that slideshow button.
Can I do which one? This one.
That one, we can see the slide notes. There.
This one?
Yep, that looks
okay?
That looks perfect.
So I don't know if I can just continue with Kenya and then when she comes back, she continue with Tanzania, the remaining part.
Yep.
So Kenya, talking of Kenya, I love my country. So Kenya is it really stands out. I'm not outshining any country, but Kenya, I love my country. So it stands out as the most complete safari destination in Africa. You're not just selling wildlife, but you're selling variety. So within one itinerary, what you can do, you can experience the classic plains of Masai Mara, the elephant. You can see the elephants against the backdrop of Kilimanjaro in Amboseli. You can also visit the private conservancies in Laikipia and also even go further to Samburu. Yeah. So what makes Kenya special and powerful is how easy you can combine all these destinations within one itinerary. So you can also design this itinerary very different from one stop to the next while still maintaining the logistically that you still have the smooth logistics because we have a variety of flights, local flights, and also the driving distances are not that long from one destination to the other. So going to next slide is more of we have in Kenya we have conservancies and then we have national parks. So conservancies mostly in Masai Mara, you can find them in Amboseli, you can find them also in Laikipia. So in when you're saying in conservancies, what you can do, what the clients can do, they can off-road. There's off-road driving, whereby when you see animals further, you can even drive. You can drive off-road to view the animals even closer than being in a national park. And then you can do other activities like night game drives. You can have village visits. Also, you can do walks and also in conservancies you can do camel trekking, you can do horseback safaris as well. So for the camel trekking is more of the Olpejeta side, the Laikipia side. You can do it in Oloisaba, you can do it in those remote areas, the conservancies where there is more remote areas like Borana. Olpejeta is more of rhino tracking you can do in Olpejeta, where that's part of Laikipia as well. So for the national parks, for Masai Mara, it's what we know about Masai Mara is all about migration. When it's between July and October, this is seasonal. It's not every time, like in January, you take someone to Masai Mara, then you promise like you're going to see migration. No, it's between July and October. But that doesn't mean that you won't see any wildlife. There's plenty of big five in Masai Mara, and also in conservancies, there's plenty of wildlife to view. There's a mix in the national reserve. There's a mix of luxury lodges and private, and also in private conservancies, like luxury lodges and also mid-range tented camps. In Amboseli, it's more famous for elephants and also the views of Mount Kilimanjaro. Photography is very it's on point in Amboseli. Moving forward, what's new? What's coming up? We have NK, part of NK, Kitirua Plains Lodge, which will open in June this year, and then Marriott Mount Kenya is also will be opening in August. This is this will be located in Laikipia, part of Laikipia Solio Conservancy. We have Little Governors was closed for renovations, coming up with another name like Wilderness Mara. This is something that I need to visit this year when it opens. This is opening also in June this year. And then we have signature experiences in Masai Mara and also in Laikipia area, where in Masai Mara you can do live helicopter patrol tracking elephants. Just imagine that experience. It's not for everyone. It's for clients who knows what they want to see. Yeah, and then you can also do guided helicopter safari in going to Reteti Elephant Sanctuary. That's done in Loisaba, Laikipia area. And then you can do rhino tracking as well in Olpejeta conservancies. You can do horse riding. You can do camel riding safaris. Also, with camel riding safaris, we have something like walking trekking with camels. You can do multi-day trekking with camels, and this is done uh, around Laikipia, going to Samburu and Turkana. So this year also, Safari Link has introduced a new route from Masai Mara to Entebbe. So it was only Air Kenya who does this, but now at least we have another alternative, and they have morning flights only in high season. These flights actually you can combine easily with Aerolink when you land in Entebbe. Their morning flights around 8, arrival around 10 in Entebbe. So, women experiences. Asilia comes has a very strong presence in female guides. Like they have a guide called Evelyn, still there, many years. So this is the first female silver level guides in the region. So they also for Masai Mara, most camps in the conservancies do directly give back to the Masai land owners. So what do they do special? What they do, they actually prioritize hiring from nearby Masai communities. What they do, with the moment they have a vacancy in their camps, what they do, they first of all consult the community if there's a fit before pointing airing out to the uh, other people. And then the camps also support community development initiatives like the clinics, the mobile health services. Also, water projects is also a problem in Masai Mara and also conservancies. So what they do for the Masais, they come up with the water projects for boreholes and pipelines, and also educating them on the livestock improvements. So this is part of Tanzania, but I'm going to continue with my the one for the women. For we have experiences with the women. The moment, let's say you have a group of women coming into Kenya, and then they want to interact with other women. We have initiatives where we have communities where we take them like Azuri Beads Women Cooperative. It's in Nairobi, current area. So we take them there, and then they see how the women do their beading, the artisans, all the beadwork. They can even join hands. They can even be taught how to do that. And then we also have another center for women where the clients can go there the whole day. Actually, they can spend a whole day with those women. Just take seeing whatever they are doing, the beadwork thing, the jewelry thing, crafting, learning how to make so many things like candles, sewing, everything. So you can spend a lot of time with those women, and then they'll air out their stories, how they started it, how their life has been. So it's engaging. Like you'll feel like you this is a woman who knows where the future is taking them. They don't just sit and being fed, but they find something to do. They keep themselves busy and busy with something meaningful. Yeah. And then in Masai Mara we have Syrian camps where Syrian camps, they actively hire and trains local female guides, encouraging women to move into leadership roles. This is part of Tanzania, so I don't know if Sima is back. If she's not back,
I
we
am
have
back.
connect.
I
Okay.
think
Let me just finish. This is my last part. We have connections that flights that can combine Tanzania to Uganda or Rwanda, and also from Kenya, combination to Uganda or Rwanda. So we have scheduled flights and we have non-scheduled flights. Like scheduled flights, they depart from either Arusha or any northern Tanzania parks that goes into Entebbe, which makes it even easier to connect with Uganda. And then Uganda Airlines depart from Kilimanjaro, same as from JKIA from Nairobi to Entebbe. And then we have Safari Link that introduced new flights from Masai Mara directly to Entebbe, and also from Wilson to Entebbe, but it's via Kisumu for immigration purposes. We have also Air Kenya. This is known. Masai Mara to Entebbe directly, and then Coastal Aviation is a scheduled flight whereby it combines northern Tanzania parks into Kigali, and then Rwanda also from Kilimanjaro to Kigali, and also Nairobi to Kigali. Kenya Airways also from Nairobi to Kigali. These are direct flights. So there are other flights if you want. Maybe someone is searching for other cheap flights like Ethiopian Airlines. It's longer, it takes longer, but these are shorter flights. Like the duration is very short and very realistic. If you want to combine, maybe uh, moving forward, maybe from Entebbe to another destination like Buendi. Yeah. So let me hand it over to Sima.
so. I know Seema's
Hi.
back, and we just need to wrap up. Seema, is there anything last minute you wanted to
Yeah, I
share?
feel like lost something. My apologies. My electricity just ran. Um, I think we're good right now. I think some thoughts on
Oh,
around
Seema,
women
you're
focus, and we have something similar.
Seema, you're cutting out. So just going to put you on mute. Rosalind, you're still presenting, just so you know, if you want to
Yeah,
hit the stop.
yeah. So, so, uh, so should I continue with Tanzania where Sima left, or should I
No,
just?
that's okay. We'll share the presentation because we're at time and we
Okay,
wanted to share some exciting news. And then also, if anybody has time and has questions, Dr. Ladon, I see you have one, so we'll get to that in a second. But we
okay,
wanted to share that we are going to be hosting a fam trip in November this year with both Tanzania Journeys and Matoke Tours. So, if Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, the trekking, the safaris, the accommodations are on your bucket list and you're interested to get to know the regions better, then that is something we're going to be sharing more details on very soon. And we're going to be opening up applications. I'm going to drop in the link right now a FAM interest list. So if joining the FAM trip in November is of interest, throw your name on that interest list. Check off, Matoke Tours and Tanzania Journeys, and we'll also share this link in the follow-up email tomorrow. We'll have more details, but we're looking at like November 7th to 20th sort of time range, and all the information to come. And then with that, we will open it up. If anybody has questions, jump in, ask them, and we will cover whatever we can get to. I know we're at time. If anybody has to jump off, no problem. There will be lots of follow-ups, and we'll connect everyone afterwards. Yes, Dr. Ladonna, jump in.
Yes, good afternoon from Chicago. So great to hear these presentations. I lived in Rwanda for all of 2023 after hosting a short trip in 2022, and I just could never leave. So my heart rejoices when I see Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. My question is, I'm also in the women's work cohort number 7. So glad to be in there. So, of course, my question is about how have you seen the markets change? And by this, I mean the demands. Um, and I said over the last 2 years, but even this year and any future projections. And just as a caveat, our work with Ubuntu Global Collective is a little more people intensive and connecting across the water. So always we do have questions about these kinds of trips that you presented, but I have to say I lit up when I heard about the people connection. So it's good to be connected with you for when we do have those requests, but I'm interested in how you've seen the market change, the demands, or maybe you haven't seen it change. I don't know. And that's why I'm asking.
Should we, can I go first? Since I'm unmuted. Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Like, so nice to hear from you. And also thanks for joining the webinar. I would love to hear more about your venture as well. Sounds very, very interesting. But on the demand side, or how we have seen things change, it's really been the acceleration of progress, so to say. I think that's what makes it, yeah, I don't know, in a nutshell, I would say. So like I said, the company Matoke has been there for over 20 years, and we really have seen year-on-year growth ever since, with a stop for 2020 to 2022, obviously, and then had a very quick recovery as well. So we really see this, the demand being bigger and bigger. Traditionally, our client base was more Europe, but really more and more North America for the last at least 5 years, I would say. So also that is a process that has sped up a lot. And in terms of destination development, it's really way more accessible, better infrastructure, more accommodation options for high end, but also remaining for mid-range still. And just it just makes like putting a product together much easier. It's just like a much more seamless execution that needs less management in that sense, or less one-on-one setup, because certain things are already in place. So it's a very smooth process right now, I would say.
Thank you.
That's great. I don't know if Stima's mic and the sort of connection is not great still, but she's also shared like they're seeing more higher end accommodations, experiences, bigger hotel chains are coming. So I think again, like you're seeing more infrastructure, more development. Again, probably making similar opportunities where more seamless, routing and options to, connect different areas and give travelers different types of high, mid-range experiences and accommodations.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else with a question, comment, anything? Anna.
I'm sorry, I know I spoke enough, but just like, so one more thing to Dr. Ladonna's point, maybe especially since you said you're interested in people connections, there's also more niche tourism, I would say. So before that, people knew like, okay, Uganda gorillas, Rwanda gorillas, but there's more and more, which I really enjoy, like cross collaboration across sectors. So we are just like, it's not yet fully in place, but like, we are, for example, looking at intersection of creative industries and tourism, or way more on conservation and tourism, and also way more intra-African tourism. So for that, we have like an amazing network of experts, people who are in the field. So that is also a very, very interesting process that we are going through. And yeah, really great that that's happening. Just to add to that point still.
Thank you. I look forward to being in touch. We do primarily poetry and the arts in general. So
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and we're getting a big shout out from Beth. Thank you for recommending the FAM. So great way to get that literally boots on the ground experience of the two DMCs and the products they offer. Great. All right. Last shout out, last call out. Any other questions, shares? Okay. Well, we will call it there. We'll wrap things up. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your time. As I mentioned, we've got this recording. We'll be sharing the recording. We'll share information, contacts, the FAM information. So all of that is to come. You can expect that tomorrow. So stay tuned and we'll be in touch. And if you have anything urgent and important, you can reach out. But otherwise, we will all connect very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.